Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Ryan Larson. I'm the Director of Western Study Abroad Office, which we call the Education Abroad Office or Ed Abroad. Normally, we send about 700 students abroad a year. And once you're at Western, I hope you'll join those ranks and find a way to have your study abroad adventure with us. I'm going to show you a short presentation about how study abroad works at Western. All right, here we go. So this is Western Abroad 101. A lot of this information you can find on our website. If you were to Google WW Study Abroad, you'd find the Education Abroad Office website pretty quickly. We have numerous videos on there with different video content about how to study abroad, where you could go, how to search for programs, how to fund your experience, and more. This presentation is going to give you a snapshot on the different options you have to study abroad through Western. So first, I'm going to start with some quick facts about how study abroad works. Many students wonder how long they could study abroad. Some students are intimidated by the idea of studying abroad for, a whole year. You certainly don't have to study abroad for a year if you don't want to, although I encourage you if you can. Instead, if you'd like, we have programs as short as 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. We have month-long programs in the summer. We have programs that last a whole quarter, fall quarter, winter quarter, spring quarter, or summer quarter. Many of our study abroad partners around the world are at semester universities. So you could go abroad for all of fall semester, or all of spring semester. Some students do indeed study abroad for an academic year, which we certainly encourage. The longer you can go, the better. We even have students who do an entire calendar year abroad, all 12 months. It's your choice. You decide how long you can go and for what amount of time you can get away. I will share that students do kind of get intimidated about going abroad for a longer amount of time. But what ends up happening is they pick a shorter amount of time, they go abroad, have an amazing experience, and they either try to extend or wish they had originally planned to go for longer. So keep that in mind. It's a pretty special experience. You can go anytime during sophomore year, junior year, or senior year. For your freshman year, we usually don't have study abroad. We can make exceptions, but it's not very common. That first year, we like you to dedicate on really shoring up your study skills and learning what it's like to be a student at a university in the United States before you try to hold your own at a university in another country. Having said that, if you're a freshman this coming year, you could go starting June 2022 after you finish your first academic year in the US. So you could go pretty quickly. In this coming year, you could plan and save money and apply for scholarships and so on. Some students ask us if they can use financial aid or their funding from FAFSA, that is. And the answer is yes. Students can use Pell Grants and student loans and Parent Plus loans. I have a slide on this and I'll tell you more about it as we go on. Many students are worried about the cost of study abroad. It's true study abroad can be expensive. There are some expensive programs out there, but there are also cost-effective programs too. So we can help you with that. If you want to study abroad and watch your budget at the same time, we have a cost-effective programs list on our website that can give you some ideas of affordable types of study abroad programming. Now, another big question we get is about language. Students worry that if they're not already conversational or fluent in the language of their host country, that they wouldn't be able to go. That's not true. We actually have many students who go abroad to host countries where they don't speak the language. And what they do is they'll take classes in English in their major or their minor, or they might take general education classes or electives, and then they'll take a few classes to learn the host language. And you could do that. You could do some type of combination program like that. Of course, we have English speaking programs too. You can go to English speaking countries like England, Ireland, Scotland, Australia, New Zealand, Ghana, Canada. There are many out there. So do keep that in mind. All programs are for credit. We don't really let you go abroad unless you're earning credit. And unless you'll receive an official transcript at the end of your term to transfer credits back to Western. Some of our programs abroad are actual Western credits in the first place. So you have multiple options here. Of course, you have to keep in mind that when you're planning to study abroad, you need to check in with your academic advisor or faculty advisor to make sure the courses you take abroad will actually go towards your degree program in the US. Just because we can transfer them to Western doesn't mean they'll actually go towards your major. So that's a little bit of footwork that you'd have to do with your advisor before you depart. As for housing abroad, many students wonder where they would live and how they would acquire housing. For the most part, it's arranged before you arrive. I'd say probably in 99% of our programs. You might be living in a dormitory, on campus abroad, or near campus. You might share an apartment with other students from that city or other international students like you would be. You might live with a host family, which is a pretty special experience. And by the way, they know you're an adult. There are no curfews or anything like that. Host families make meals for you. They help you learn the host language. They usually do your laundry. It's actually a pretty sweet experience. And students are often lifelong friends with their host families. You might even have a tent as your form of housing. If you're one of our environmental science students or environmental studies students and beyond at Western, you might decide to study in a field-based program where your study abroad experience is out in the wilderness and your housing might be a tent. We have all kinds of options, and we also work really hard to prepare you to live in another country. And that's the final note here, full circle advising. What we mean by that is we have a team of advisors that will help you before you depart and answer any questions that you might have while you're away. Before you leave, we have 3 pre-departure orientations where you meet with me and I train you to live in another country on your own. And even when you get back, we have numerous programs for re-entry to connect you with new resources to help you go abroad again, figure out how to use your study abroad experience on your resume, and so on. Now I'm going to tell you the 4 ways that you could study abroad through Western. The first one is through what we call a study abroad provider. This is an organization that facilitates the study abroad experience for you. Maybe you've heard of Semester at Sea. That's an example of a study abroad provider, an organization that kind of just takes care of all the details. We have about 12 pre-approved study abroad provider organizations on our website for you to consider. We've vetted them to make sure that they have academic integrity, good student services, and also robust health, safety, and security operations. Right now, well, I should say historically, this has been our most popular form of study abroad. When you study abroad through a study abroad provider, this organization will have hired staff in the host country, hired faculty to teach in English and to teach you the host language, if applicable. They help you secure housing even before you arrive so that you show up and you already have a place to live. They give you all the documents you need to apply for a student visa if necessary before you arrive, and they guide you through that process. They almost always include international health insurance as part of their program fees. They take you on field trips, excursions, and tours of your host country and maybe some of the countries next door. And They even will arrange special experiences like internships, volunteering, teaching English, and so on. Students really like studying abroad with a study abroad provider because there's so much scaffolding around the experience, especially for students who haven't lived in another country on their own before. So certainly consider this as an option for you. The second type of study abroad that you could consider is old school exchange, where you and an international student switch places. They don't move into your apartment or anything like that. I don't mean that. But what I mean is, while you're studying abroad, they're going to come to Western Washington University and study. It could be at the exact same time. They might come the term after you study abroad. It doesn't always happen simultaneously, but it often does. When two universities engage in an exchange agreement, what they agree to do is waive the non-resident tuition in both directions. So that means you would pay in-state tuition to the Ed Abroad office, and I would use that money to pay for the incoming student coming from, say, Japan. Then you go to Japan, and that student would have paid their homeschool tuition at the resident rate, and that university would have saved that money for paying for your tuition in Japan. Do you see what I mean? So you each pay your homeschool resident rates, and then you switch places. You're essentially paying for the other student to come and take your place for however long you decide to be away for. This makes exchange the most affordable form of study abroad that we have. They tend to be only for quarter-long or semester programs and not summer. You might wonder, why doesn't everybody do this then? This sounds perfect. Well, there isn't the hand-holding that I described in the previous slide with providers. You basically live your life at the host university like you would in the US. In the previous slide, if you so much as get a cold, they will walk you to the doctor and translate for you. In the US, it wouldn't work that way. If you got a cold, you'd walk yourself to the health center. It's the same in exchange. You'd have to be a bit more independent. You might have a language requirement. This is where we see language requirements a little more often, but not always. There are plenty of exchange programs where you don't need to speak the language. You don't already have to be an expert traveler. Most of our students who do exchange, they've never been abroad before. So I don't want you to think that you have to already be good at this. What I'd say though, is that if you want to do exchange, you want to really think about the level of comfort that you require. And I'd say that students who are pretty good at problem solving and staying calm in a pinch, they do well with exchange if they're maybe a bit more self-sufficient. The third type of study abroad programming that we offer is what we call global learning programs. This is our term for faculty-led study abroad. Faculty-led study abroad is just like how it sounds. It's when a WW faculty member leads a group of students abroad while teaching a class. So, for example, we have a professor of French who takes a group of students to Montreal, Canada for a month in the summer. And they study at the University of Quebec there. Our professor is the one who teaches the 2 classes that are taught for the month that they're in Montreal. And we use a classroom at the University of Quebec. We use their dormitories too. And you live in Quebec for a month. And instead of studying French in Bellingham and leaving the classroom and hearing English everywhere you go, in Montreal, you leave the classroom and you hear French. And you get to practice everything that you learned that day when you go out for a coffee or you go out for a bite and so on. So these programs tend to be small, maybe 10 to 15 students. That does make them a little bit more expensive. They're very special programs where you get really connected with your cohort and you're able to develop a rapport with your faculty member, which is useful because you may need letters of recommendations down the road, and it's really good to have strong connections with your faculty members and for them to know more about you so they can write strong letters for you. These programs tend to be shorter, anywhere from 1 week to about 6 weeks. I'd say the average program is about 3 weeks long. We offer them every quarter, but the most that we offer are during the summer term. Finally, the fourth way you can study abroad through Western is through our practical learning abroad options. What we mean by this is options where we get you out of the classroom, meaning sitting in the classroom and looking at the professor and listening, and into something more practical. So for example, it could be a full-time internship abroad. It might be that you're in front of the classroom this time and teaching for your TESOL practicum, or maybe doing international student teaching if you're an education major. It might be that you're doing independent study or research. These options aren't super popular, but there are enough of them that we have a number of students who do them each year, especially the internships, which are really important for you. You need to build your resume so that by the time you graduate from Western, you have both academic training and practical training. So definitely consider options like this too. Now, before I move on, you might be wondering, where can you go during a pandemic, and can you travel at all? Well, yes, you can, and there are a number of places that you can go. Our government has what we call the US Department of State. Other countries call that their foreign ministry. Basically, it is the agency in our government that manages our diplomacy and also manages all of our US embassies and consulates around the world. Those embassies and consulates report from the ground the safety situation in each country, and they rate the world's countries on a 1 through 4 scale, 1 being relatively safe and 4 being the least safe. In fact, at level 4, the State Department says, do not go to these places. So you might see countries around the world rated level 4, do not travel. Level 3 is reconsidered travel. Level 1 and 2 are exercise normal precautions and exercise increased precautions. Those are the safest countries to go to. And there are a number of level 1 and 2 countries around the world still, where those countries and governments are managing the COVID-19 pandemic relatively well, where they have a community spread of the disease that's much lower than the United States. So right now we're focusing on getting students to those countries. We may have the option to get students to level 3 countries too. Level 4 though is less likely. So if you're interested in studying abroad, I'll show you toward the end of this presentation how you'll be able to connect with one of our study abroad advisors who can give you an idea of where you can go and do one of these 4 options. But before we conclude, I have a few more things to tell you. When you're thinking about studying abroad, you have to think about more than just tuition and what tuition will be in that country. Of course, there are always going to be fees associated with tuition, whether it's application fee, our own Ed Abroad office fees, and maybe student services and activities fees like field trips and excursions. You also want to think about housing and cost of living. If you're on a tight budget, you might consider going to a country where your dollar will go really far. If you pick a part of the world where the cost of living is really high or higher than Bellingham, Washington, it's likely you're going to spend a lot on housing and groceries and whatnot. So keep that in mind. I was a Pell Grant student. I didn't come from money, and I didn't have a lot of money to spend on my study abroad experience. So what I did, as someone who was studying Spanish, and had the options of going either to Spain or countries in Latin America, I picked Latin America. Um, and I was able to stretch my dollars much further there than in Spain, because the dollar was stronger in those countries and it was weaker in Spain. In Spain, I probably could have afforded to go for maybe one semester. Instead, I went to Costa Rica, which is a really nice place, and I spent an academic year there. And if I had it to go over, I would do it again and see if I could go for even longer. It was so much fun. I learned so much, and I came back speaking Spanish with fluency. So think about that. Think about how far your money will go and where in the world you might be able to get more bang for your buck. Think also about books and supplies, just like you would if you were studying at Western. You're also going to want some pocket money for personal expenses, going to the movies, when movie theaters are open again, and even traveling to other parts of that country, right? So if you do end up in Spain and you're studying in Madrid, you're going to want some extra money to be able to go to Barcelona for the weekend as you please. And then finally, remember round trip airfare, the cost of immunizations, which has always been a part of studying abroad, depending on the country that you go to. You're going to need international health insurance, which we can guide you on. And we even have our own policy that's quite affordable. And then, of course, you'll need to pay for passport and visa fees. So kind of think about your study abroad experience holistically. How much total will you need to come up with? We can guide you on that. We even have some budget worksheets that will help you. Having said that, I think that if you start thinking about your study abroad experience a year in advance, it'll give you enough time to apply for scholarships, get things sorted with financial aid, think about how much money you need, save up for a bit, reach out to, extended family members if you need to, for some fundraising and so on. Now let's talk about federal financial aid, or FAFSA money. We have a number of students who depend on FAFSA like I did, and I strongly encourage you to figure out a way to study abroad using the resources that are available to you. You are able to use the Pell Grant towards studying abroad. You can also use subsidized and unsubsidized loans and the Parent Plus loan. In fact, the Financial Aid Office asks us what your total expenses will be for going abroad and studying, which they know will be higher. And they see if they're able to award you to that new threshold, usually with loans, since grants are a fixed amount. In the past, in this middle section here on the slide, we've seen students have success using college saving plans, like a college fund that maybe their grandparents set up for them. We've also seen some veterans have success using their GI Bill. The Veteran Affairs Administration from the US government has really strict rules about how you use your GI Bill. So we just need to make sure that your study abroad program complies with those rules. And the Veterans Office on campus can help with that. What we know can't be used from financial aid are tuition waivers, like the WUI scholarship. Those are more like discounts, and you need cold hard cash to be able to pay your host universities or study abroad providers. So we're getting toward the end of the presentation, and I wanted to let you know that we have an advising team that's available to help you with all of your questions. You'll find in the About section of our website a directory that has all of our photos and links that you can use to make an appointment on each advisor's calendar. If you're interested in study abroad providers or general questions, I recommend you meet with Hannah. If you're interested in doing exchange, then I encourage you to meet with Dan. And finally, if you're interested in those out-of-the-box experiences like internships abroad, TESOL practicum, independent study, then meet with Krista. Otherwise, we usually have a peer advisor on staff, um, and they're available to help you with anything you need to. Our peer advisors are students who have already studied abroad like you'll do, and they're so helpful with regard to answering questions about study abroad. So, as I said earlier in the presentation, if you were to just Google WW Study Abroad, our website will be one of the first ones to pop up. You'll find all kinds of resources on the website to help you. We're pretty active in social media, specifically on Instagram and Facebook, where we post a lot of student stories. We post about a lot of resources for going abroad. We also post about scholarship deadlines and just cool content about traveling the world. And I hope you follow us. So thanks for listening today. We'll be back in the office this fall. You're welcome to come by anytime and set up an appointment, or set up an appointment on your own for a virtual advising session or a face-to-face advising session once we're back to campus. Thanks, and I hope you study abroad. Welcome to Western.